This is how you get in touch with what it is that you're really afraid of. When you have a reaction in any moment, when you are triggered, when you're upset, when you're sad, when you're lonely, when you're feeling, a tremendous amount of rage or whatever the trigger is, at the root of that trigger, there is something that you're afraid of. Nothing outside of you can give you the stability that you're looking for, or the safety that you're looking for, or even the love that you're looking for. So these are all things that must be sourced from within. We can't source them from within for as long as we participate in fear. For some of us, it happens, all of a sudden, and for some of us, it happens over time. But this awakening is available to all beings everywhere. That's why you're here. You're here to experience this awakening. You're actually here to come out of fear. What I really want to talk about tonight is overcoming fear. Okay, so this is such an important conversation because it's really the only conversation we're ever having. If you're a human being trying to figure out how to make your life better, easier, how to make more money, how to have better relationships, how to have better health, how to secure an environment for yourself, whether that's a job or a home, how to create safety in your relationships, or how to feel well, how to have inner peace in general, then the only thing we're ever really looking at transcending and ultimately accepting and dissolving, because it doesn't really exist on a soul level, is fear. Fear is a conditioned response to a perceived threat. So as human beings, we elect to incarnate into this body, into this 3D experience, and we agree to experience the contrast. And what I mean by contrast is fear is the opposite of what it means to be an expression of source consciousness. Imagine being, part of the spirit realm, part of universal intelligence, this infinite stream of consciousness that has no beginning and no end. And then from this stream of consciousness, in comes you, born into this humanity, born into this 3D reality. You're here to experience the contrast, which is fear. Fear means I'm separate, I'm abandoned, I'm alone, I need to prove myself, I need to constantly strive for my survival. This is the fear that we learn in early childhood, and everybody learns it, regardless of the environment you were raised in. Some of us were raised in, benign, benevolent environments, and some of us were raised in really, really horrific circumstances. Regardless of the conditions that your soul chose to be born into, you're going to experience fear at the level that you need to transcend it for your soul's particular evolutionary path, which is different for every single one of us. Okay, every one of us has a unique karma, a unique dharma to live out, and unique karmic experiences to neutralize. And so this is really relevant. It's very personal to you. How fear will show up in your life is personal to you. How it gets conditioned into your subconscious mind, into your cellular memory is unique to you. But make no mistake, we all experience it. That's what we're here to experience. And this is what we're here to learn how to overcome, how to transcend, how to master, so that we can be free, right? We can master the human experience by learning to understand when we are triggered, what the fear is pointing to, what all of our unresolved emotions are pointing to. I'll talk about that in a moment, and how to overcome them in the sense of how to choose love, or how to choose awareness, how to choose peace in each moment, so that we can master this human life. And mastering the human life doesn't mean accumulating things. It doesn't mean having things or being established or creating a life that looks successful by popular opinion or by some standard outside of you, okay, some other external metrics. It really just means being able to master and be self-governing, the master of your emotions, the master of your thought process, sovereign in your way of operating. And that can look different for everybody. The definition of sovereignty for you is as unique as your conditioning process was in early childhood. Okay, we're all sort of snowflakes in that way. We each have our own unique blueprint for what it means for us to come out of fear and to step into self-realization. The only way we can come out of fear is by waking up to the essence of who we are, by having this awakening. An awakening can be so many different things. It can mean I'm waking up to the fact that I'm powerful, or I'm waking up to the fact that I can trust myself, or I'm waking up to the fact that, I'm connected to the spirit realm, right? I'm waking up to the fact that I have gifts that I can use, that I can share with the world. I'm waking up to the fact that I feel supported and provided for, that I have a relationship with universal intelligence. I'm waking up to the fact that I'm a powerful manifester. Whatever your awakening feels like, these are all sort of variations of the same wake up call that we each get if we're doing the work on this human path to overcome fear. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, fear is a conditioned response to a perceived threat. I'm not speaking about primal fear. Primal fear is built in, the human apparatus. It's something that we need in order to survive. So primal fear is the part of you that wants to run out of the way when there's oncoming traffic, right? Or if you're in some kind of physical danger, that primal fear will help you survive and help you protect yourself. Okay, so this is natural and it's human and it's part of our experience. And this is not the fear that I'm speaking about. The fear that I'm talking about is the perceived fear, the fear that something bad will happen. The conditioned response to a perceived threat means that we were raised with this conditionality, which creates duality in our perception of things. So this contrast, what I'm talking about, is the dualistic experience, right? There's something, it has an opposite. As long as something has an opposite, I'm afraid of experiencing the opposite. Okay. And so the fear is perception of threat. So what if I lose my job? What if I get abandoned? What if I run out of money? What if I end up homeless? What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not talented? What if I'm not unsuccessful? This is the kind of fear that I'm talking about. And these beliefs that these potential threats could happen really shape our identity. They shape the choices that we make. They drive our behavior. They drive our impulses. It can be to be confrontational or to avoid conflict altogether. Okay, so fear creates this dualistic experience where we now are charged with the task of having to find out who we truly are underneath all of this fear. And we can only do that by examining our uncomfortable emotions. This is how you get in touch with what it is that you're really afraid of. When you have a reaction in any moment, when you are triggered, when you're upset, when you're sad, when you're lonely, when you're feeling, a tremendous amount of rage or whatever the trigger is, at the root of that trigger, there is something that you're afraid of. Okay, so it's really powerful and it can be very simple. This doesn't have to be complicated. As you're watching live, or perhaps you want to pause later and watch the replay of this portion of the broadcast and really make a list of what is it that I'm really afraid of? What is it that I'm really afraid of? Am I afraid of looking bad, loss of reputation, loss of security? Ultimately look around, check in with your safety, right? Like this is something that shows up a lot, especially in my readings and in my coaching programs. Like we fundamentally don't feel safe because perhaps we didn't feel safe in our environment as children, right? So we never really get grounded in that until we take personal responsibility to come out of fear. It doesn't matter what the context of the conversation is. We could be having a reading about your boyfriend or your job or your health or whatever the question or concern is. At the root of that question, there is always a fear that is presenting itself. The fear is, what if I get it wrong? What if this doesn't come through for me? What if this doesn't happen? What if I miss out? Whatever your fear is. Okay. So I really want us to go deeper in our readings tonight and really get in touch with what is it that I'm truly afraid of? Because the thing that you're afraid of is showing up in every area of your life, not just in one area. Okay. It's just, it takes on a different flavor or a different shape or a different manifestation, different iteration, depending on the area of your life that we're discussing. Okay. So, but it's still present. Okay. So if you have a fear in one area, you'll have it in every area. It's just a matter of really tuning into what that fear is. Okay. And it's normal to feel probably more confident in one area than it is to feel in others, but that doesn't mean the fear isn't still there. Okay. So I invite you to really check in with yourself. Say, what is my ultimate fear? What is the thing that I'm truly most afraid of? And this will tell us exactly what your operating system is, what happened to you in your childhood, and what there is for you to transcend and move through. The way to come out of fear, this is the very simple technique that I always use and that I always teach to my students, is to engage in some breath work, to do some somatic release. Deep diaphragmatic breathing will help calm down the nervous system, ground you, put you in your body. Between the diaphragmatic breathing and the awareness and the positive self-talk and the willingness to experience the full range of your emotions, this practice will help shift your energy in the moment. And with continued practice, again, this isn't an instant fix, but with continued practice, it becomes an automatic part of who you are. You're able to self-regulate. You're able to move out of fear on a moment-to-moment basis. For deeper fears and deeper traumatic responses, perhaps you're someone who struggles with PTSD, you've been through something very intense, you need a guide. You need a guide to guide you into those traumatic experiences, into those areas of you that you've perhaps disconnected from or disassociated from, so you can re-experience them, so you can release them and heal them for good. We can all heal. Every single one of us has the capacity to heal our deepest fears by developing a spiritual practice, by receiving help, by opening up our belief system, by learning to take responsibility for our physical, mental, and emotional well-being, by engaging in some breath work. All of these tools are really helpful. You do a combination of these, all of the above, again, with a regular practice, you'll be able to come out of fear and to step into self-realization. Okay. And it doesn't, for some of us, it happens, all of a sudden. And for some of us, it happens over time. But this awakening is available to all beings everywhere. That's why you're here. You're here to experience this awakening. You're actually here to come out of fear. And every single question that comes through tonight, for those of you that are here week after week, this is the only conversation we're ever having, is how do I stop being afraid of this, right? What is the answer? What can you give me? What reassurance can you offer me that I don't need to be afraid anymore? Of course, I'm happy to channel this reassurance in very specific ways that are unique to you in your particular journey, on your particular path. And yet the message is always the same. It's really about, learning to love yourself, learning to raise your standards, learning to engage in active self-care, learning to develop a connection with spirit, whatever that connection looks like for you. Doesn't have to be God. It doesn't have to be, it can be anything that feels like it's bigger than you, more powerful than you. But make no mistake, when we open up our awareness and really connect with the power of universal intelligence and learn to receive those messages, learning to lean into our intuition and trust this, our inner knowing, so that we can become sovereign, we start to come out of fear. We start to feel more safe, more grounded, more rooted in the truth of who we are, more stable in ourselves. Nothing outside of you can give you the stability that you're looking for, or the safety that you're looking for, or even the love that you're looking for. So these are all things that must be sourced from within. We can't source them from within for as long as we participate in fear. Okay, so these two cannot exist in the same paradigm. It's okay to experience fear temporarily. This is normal. It's human. But as soon as it comes up for you, it's your job to acknowledge it, to become aware of it, and to move into self-responsibility, so you can do the steps that I've talked about tonight. All of the myriad of tools that I've shared that you're free to ask about, and we can continue this conversation. I'm happy to respond to any questions you may have in the comment section. And then moving yourself out of fear so that you can feel at peace. This is available to all beings everywhere. I can't emphasize that enough. Thank you for watching this clip from Oracle Hour. Join me live every Wednesday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, where you can get your questions answered too. And if you can't wait that long, or you prefer to be in a private setting, then click the link in my description and book your session with me today. I look forward to holding space for you.